guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm here at Dimmitt Aston Martin in sunny Pinellas Park, Florida, and boy oh boy, do we have an amazing car. This is a 2020 Aston Martin Vantage. So let's talk a little bit about this iconic brand known as Aston Martin. It's that British brand from the United Kingdom, the UK. So much heritage, so much history, so much tradition. Aston Martin, believe it or not, came out onto the scenes all the way back in 1913. Since then, not only have they made high quality standards when it comes to the build of a vehicle and the engineering behind it, but one thing that Aston Martin did and did very well is they competed with their vehicles. What's great is they've had so many victories from so many different racing series and championships, but two that stand out for Aston Martin are definitely going to be their two wins in the iconic 24 Hours of Le Mans. They won back in 1959, and then they did it again in 2007. What's interesting is that back in 1959, there was a driver, he was American, and it was somebody that you probably know, Carroll Shelby. So before Carroll was associated with Ford and the Cobra and all that good stuff, he was actually racing for Aston Martin and helped them win their very first victory in that iconic race. Fast forward to 1962. 1962 was the first time that the name Vantage was added to the nameplate underneath the Aston Martin umbrella. 2005, they decided to change it up because the Vantage was originally associated back in 62 with Aston Martin's top level automobile. Now guess what? In 2005, they decided to put it on their entry-level vehicle. And that's what the Vantage is. It's an entry-level vehicle in the Aston Martin lineup, which is mind-blowing because you'll see that there's nothing entry-level about the way this car looks or performs. That's for sure. But with this 2020 Vantage, they've made some changes. They've decided to go a little bit different direction on what's underneath the hood, and this thing is a perfect competitor for that Porsche 911. So let's go ahead, dive into this 2020 Aston Martin Vantage. Right off the bat, I love the styling, the iconic styling of Aston Martin. They do certain things that when you see it, you know it's an Aston Martin. Let's start with the headlights. Really love these LED headlights. The lens is so small, the housing is so small, and just has a great look to it, especially with the way that the hood kind of wraps around and then comes down in the front. Very nicely done. You have a large front splitter here that is integrated into the front fascia all the way across that iconic grille. This is going to help scoop air into those radiators and then stop air from going underneath the car. This is going to help produce downforce. Remember how I was telling you about styling cues? This grille shape is iconic to Aston Martin. If you follow the line all the way from passenger side to driver's side, it has a very unique shape, and I just love that open mouth look with the wire mesh grille. Really just says so much about the brand. Speaking of the brand, check out the emblem. That is everything that is traditional about Aston Martin. These emblems are actually hand painted. Each one is hand painted, then placed on the nose by the person that did the business of making it look so beautiful. But from right to left, this thing is so sinister. Another thing that I love about it is with the new Vantage, they kind of did a little bit of nip and tuck and made it very, very tidy. Onto the hood, this beautiful pearl white paint job. I don't know if you can see in the sun, but there's a nice power bulge here in the center. You have some character lines that start with the front fascia and work their way up, but there's that iconic emblem, so much history. As we come around the corner, you can see all the work that was done to make this thing cut through air like a hot knife through butter. Check out these wheels. Absolute beautiful. 20-inch wheel. It's like a flat gun gray metallic. Look at those rotors. Papa John's, I think, made those rotors. They are larger than any pizza that I've seen before. So that is an over 15-inch rotor. You have a two-piece setup. What that means is that the hat which is this portion right here, and the rotor are two separate pieces. That's gonna help cut down on heat. Another thing is you'll see that it's fully slotted and ventilated. That's a way of cooling the rotor to make sure that you're gonna get maximum bite every time that you hit that brake pedal. You can see the very large, it's almost like my shoe, this caliper. I wear a size 12 shoe. This caliper is about that size. 6 piston, gonna grip this thing with all of its might to make sure that you stop on a dime and give everybody in your neighborhood some change. Awesome setup. The way the car sits, it's got just enough wheel gap. Excellent setup with these Pirelli P0s wrapped around that beautiful wheel. Now, as we go up onto the fender, you'll notice that when we open up this hood, this whole fender is going with it. So it's all one piece. I love that style. You can see the functional venting on the side, and I'll have O'Neil kind of swing around and show you the back portion of that design. It's just drop dead sexy, the lines. And it's so crazy because people overlook Aston Martin all the time. Everybody's thinking Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini. Is this a supercar? I think so. Got plenty of performance, that's for sure. Love the low roof line, even the body lines that are in that roof. Very nicely done. You can see down the door, it kind of fades away into the fender. And talk about flare. These fenders are flared out with a very large lower sill. All of this is for aerodynamic efficiency. As we go into that rear haunch area of the fender and come around is probably, I love the front. I also love the back of this Aston Martin. Drop dead sexy. I love the LED taillights, especially how it goes from one side to the other. There's that Aston Martin badge with some nice Aston Martin script here. Quad exhaust built into the diffuser. Wait until we start up this thing. Twin turbo V8. It's gonna make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Functional diffuser. Look at the reverse light. That's how small it is. It's just LED reverse light, very small. Keep the weight down. Beautiful. If I'm gonna zonk it, it's probably gonna be these two bumperettes here, which I think are obviously there because of government safety testing. You gotta have a certain amount of impact resistant material. That reminds me of something that they used to do back in the 1980s on the back of like 911s and stuff like that. So I'm gonna zonk these two pieces. I like to rip those off, but everything else, so perfect, so purposeful. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and check out what's powering this Aston Martin. All right, guys, we got the hood popped on this iconic car. Like I said, when you pop the hood, you can see how the actual fender goes up with it, and you have the inner fender staying above the wheel and tire assembly. When you come to the engine though, that may look familiar. That is the 4-liter V8 twin turbocharged engine right out of a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT. It ruffled a bunch of people's feathers. I think it was a smart move to do for Aston Martin, because guess what? It takes something out of the equation that is a tried and true product, and they're definitely gonna have the power. Speaking of power, out of that 4-liter twin turbo V8, 503 horsepower, 505 foot-pounds of torque. This car weighs about 3,373 pounds. That engine is mated to a ZF 8-speed transaxle. So remember, the transmission is in the back of the car to help with the weight balance, because we have that engine up front. Now, if you notice, this is really like a front mid-engine because of how far back that engine is pushed towards that firewall in there. That's gonna help it handle like nothing but the business. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. If you're wondering about MPGs, guess what? 18 in the city, 25 in the highway, not too shabby. Quarter mile time, 11.6 at 123 miles an hour. And this car has a top speed of 195 miles an hour. I love how much the hood opens, gives you full access. You got your two turbochargers right up there, nicely nestled in there. I like the Aston Martin Vantage plate there, telling you where it's done and all that. Really like that setup. You can see the massive strut tower brace that they put in here, and I really like the way it's bare aluminum. That's gonna help stiffen up the front end of the car to make this thing handle like no tomorrow. And also, like I said, they've taken that engine and pushed it as far back as they could in the chassis to get that wonderful weight distribution. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and fire up this Aston Martin. All right, guys, we're inside the 2020 Aston Martin Vantage. Like I said, the Vantage name was switched to the entry-level car in their lineup back in 2005. There's nothing entry-level about this car. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, I'm digging this thing. I want to go travel to the United Kingdom, and I also want to park a car from England in my garage. How much does this cost? MSRP, the way that this one sits, is $183,000. It's got some nice extras. Let's see what you get for the price. To the doors, absolutely, positively, drop dead gorgeous. I love the Alcantara material. I love the red leather, some gloss black, and I love the silver on the door handle pull and also the speaker cover there. Very, very classy, but also modern, all at the same time. Now, as you go from that door panel to the dash, Alcantara. They took a bucket of Alcantara and just spilled it everywhere in here. You have some gloss black around the AC vents. Nice infotainment system. I like the way that it's not really up in my face and it's sort of sunken down a little bit. No glare whatsoever. You can see the Aston Martin dealership icon there. Very nice, clean. It's an 8-inch infotainment screen. Really like that. You have a frameless, auto-dimming mirror. Nice touch. As we drop down, there's a plethora of buttons. It's like button out of control. You have your AC switch here that you can control, obviously dual climate. You have your heated seats, all of those controls. And then here is the nice array of buttons going on. So you have your start-stop. This is going to control everything in that ZF 8-speed transmission. I love the little Alcantara on the side. Here's your seat controls. Very, very smart. Instead of having it on the side or on the door like Mercedes does, I like where they placed it here. Very, very smart. There's no dead buttons in here, no empty buttons. Everything has a function. You do have your mouse pad with a nice leather palm guard here. Also the rotary dial. So if you look on the infotainment system, you could go into your navigation. I like the way that you could go into your vehicle settings, 360-degree camera. I mean, you have so many different functions all in one setup. Really like it. One thing I do like is that anything dealing with putting this car in sport mode or changing any of the settings for performance with the suspension, it's all done on the wheel. No buttons here, and I'll show you that in a second. But Alcantara, you got your 2 cup holders here, nicely placed. Here's your key fob for the Aston Martin right here. My only zonk for the key fob is they need to put the Aston Martin logo on the back. I think that would look a lot classier than just having it embossed there. But that is your key fob. Nice little center armrest here. You open it up. Good amount of storage space. You have more back there, but I just love the red leather. And these seats are to die for. Alcantara, Aston Martin embroidery. It's like these racing stripes are put in the material with the leather. The seats are firm but supportive. This is going to allow you to do your track day, go down your favorite twisty road. I feel like I'm in a Formula One car. I feel like I'm ready to enter the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And remember, this car races at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in that GTE Pro class and GTE AM class. Wonderful setup, very clean, very modern. The buttons are a little out of control, but you know what? I'll learn. If somebody wants to buy me one of these, I'll learn the buttons, I promise. But anyways, why don't you come on over to the business side of things and I'll show you behind the wheel. All right, guys, here I am behind the wheel. I love this car. This car, if you want something different and you could swing that price tag other than a Porsche or something like that, this thing is insanity. You could see how I fit in here, 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom. I could get a helmet on and I still got tons of room of the nice Alcantara headliner. I'm telling you, this car should be the Aston Martin Vantage Alcantara because of how much of that material is. Steering wheel. This is an awesome wheel. Love the style, flat bottom, feels like a Formula One wheel. What's cool, what I like about it the most is, like I said, they put the settings. You want to go into Sport Plus, the exhaust opens up, the dash changes, you have the tachometer right smack dab in the center. You could go into track mode and then back to sport, but what's cool is you could also adjust your suspension settings separately. You got your LED gas, fuel gauge, and also coolant temp, and then you have other information over here you could scroll through, but when you change the different settings, the tachometer changes. I love that. Another thing I love are these metal, not plastic, not made out of Legos. I love these metal paddles, and they're nice, large, and in charge. You could go up and down your gears very easily, and I like the way that they're attached to the steering column. The reason for that is if you're in a tight turn and you want to shift into the next gear, you're gonna have to make sure that you're like this and shifting. With this, you're just gonna turn and you're just gonna either go down or up your gear. Real simple. As you come out of that turn, hit it, and you're off like a freaking rocket in this thing. But this thing is an ultimate, it really is a supercar. It really, really is. Especially 2 seats. I mean, this is nothing but the business. But why don't we go ahead and see what kind of storage area do we have in this high performance machine. All right, guys, I think one of the best parts about this car is, guess what? You could use this as a daily driver if you wanted to, or when you are gonna take it out, you got plenty of room in here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the trunk release button. Technically, it's a hatchback. You open it up, the rear glass, everything opens up. Look at how much room you have in here. Very nicely done at Aston Martin. I think this is super smart. One of the main reasons why the Corvette is such a great car to drive, because you have space to put things in. And that is a wonderful thing when you're going on that road trip with your wife. Or you can say, hey, honey, you know what? I'll go pick up the groceries. You let me get this Aston Martin? I'll go pick up the groceries. Hell, I'll go pick up the groceries in this thing. So wonderful setup, but you know what? Just like all good things, it must come to an end, and we're gonna go ahead, and if you're ready, let's wrap this one up. All right, guys, it's been a wonderful, magical day here at Dimmitt Aston Martin. I definitely got to give a huge thank you and a shout out to William and everybody here at the dealership. So accommodating. It's a special car, what can I say? Aston Martin, I think, did a great job building something to go up against the Porsche 911, the Corvette Z06, and whatever other car companies can throw at this thing. Very unique, but if these are the types of cars that you like to see on Rady's Rides, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. If you want us to keep making this great content just for you on this channel, click the link in the description, get yourself some Rady's Rides merch. Every little bit helps. Speaking of help, we got O'Neill here, working the camera, doing the business, getting this Aston Martin. He's ready to buy one. So maybe they're having a buy one, get one. He'll buy one, I'll get one for free. So thank you, O'Neill, for all your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.